Stephen's hands trembled as he stared at the computer screen in Nicole's empty office. The clock showed 8:47 p.m. Everyone else had gone home hours ago. He needed these files printed before tomorrow's meeting, but what he saw on her open laptop made his blood run cold. Email after email. Screenshots of their conversations. Photos of him taken without his knowledge during lunch breaks. Nicole had been documenting everything about him for months. The office door clicked shut behind him. "Working late again, Stephen?" Nicole's voice was silk and venom wrapped together. He spun around, heart hammering against his ribs. His boss stood there in her expensive black dress, her eyes gleaming with something that made his stomach twist. I was just printing the Morrison files," he stammered, stepping back from her desk. Nicole moved closer, her heels clicking against the marble floor like a countdown. "You know, Stephen, I've been thinking about our conversation yesterday. About your little girl needing those medical bills paid." Her hands reached for the zipper at the back of her dress. "Let me show you exactly why you should stay with me. If you're already hooked by this twisted situation, hit that like button because this story gets darker. 3 months earlier, Stephen sat in the pristine waiting room of Meridian Marketing, his only good suit feeling tight around his shoulders. His palms were sweating as he clutched the folder containing his resume. This job could change everything. His phone buzzed with a text from his babysitter. Emma asked when Mommy's coming home again. What should I say? Stephen's chest tightened. How do you explain to a 6-year-old that Mommy decided she didn't want to be a mommy anymore? That she packed her bags one Tuesday morning and left a note saying she needed to find herself? Tell her Daddy will be home soon with pizza, he typed back. The receptionist called his name. Stephen walked into the corner office where Nicole Chen sat behind an enormous glass desk. She was beautiful in that untouchable way that made him feel like a kid in a candy store he couldn't afford. Stephen Matthews, she said, reading his resume. Single father. Previous marketing experience at smaller firms. You've been unemployed for 4 months. Yes, ma'am. My ex-wife left unexpectedly, and I had to take time to arrange childcare. Anne. I don't need your life story, Nicole interrupted, but her eyes softened slightly. I need someone who can work nights when necessary. Someone dedicated. Someone who won't run away when things get demanding. Stephen straightened his spine. I'm not going anywhere. My daughter and I, we're building a life here. I need this job, Miss Chen. And I'll prove I deserve it. Something flickered in Nicole's expression. Interest, maybe. Or something else entirely. The salary is $85,000. Health benefits included. You'd be my personal assistant, handling my calendar, client communications, and special projects. Stephen's heart nearly stopped. $85,000 was more than he'd ever made. With that money, he could afford Emma's daycare, her medical checkups, maybe even save for her college fund. When do I start? Nicole smiled, and it should have been a warning. Monday morning. 7 a.m. sharp. Don't disappoint me, Stephen. Walking out of that building, Stephen felt hope for the first time in months. He called Emma's daycare to confirm he could afford the premium plan. He stopped at the grocery store and bought real milk instead of the powdered stuff. He even picked up Emma's favorite strawberry ice cream. That night, as he tucked his daughter into bed, she wrapped her tiny arms around his neck. Daddy, are we gonna be okay now? Stephen kissed her forehead, breathing in her shampoo scent. We're going to be perfect, princess. Daddy got a new job with a really nice lady who's going to help us. If only he had known what Nicole Chen really wanted in return. Emma fell asleep with her stuffed bunny, and Stephen stood in her doorway watching her peaceful face. He had no idea that accepting this job would put everything he loved at risk. Have you ever taken a job that seemed too good to be true? Let us know in the comments what you would have done in Stephen's situation. the first week at Meridian Marketing felt like a dream Steven never wanted to wake up from. Nicole treated him differently than her previous assistants. While she barked orders at everyone else, her voice became softer when she spoke to him. She called him into her office for strategy meetings that lasted hours, sitting closer than necessary as she explained client preferences. "Steven, you're so much more intuitive than the others," she would say, her hand occasionally brushing his arm. "I can actually trust you with important matters." By the second week, the expensive lunches started. "I'm meeting with the Peterson account at that new French place downtown," Nicole announced on a Tuesday morning. "You should come. Take notes." The restaurant had white tablecloths and wine that cost more than Steven's weekly grocery budget. Nicole ordered for both of them, laughing at his jokes like they were the funniest things she'd ever heard. She asked about Emma constantly. "Single fathers are so dedicated," she mused, twirling her wine glass. "You must get lonely sometimes." Steven shifted uncomfortably. "I'm focused on my daughter right now." "Of course," Nicole smiled. "But everyone needs companionship." The lunches became a weekly tradition. Then twice weekly. Always at expensive places where Nicole insisted on paying. She bought him a new briefcase for client meetings. A designer pen, because you take such beautiful notes. A watch, because punctuality is essential. Steven felt grateful but confused. None of her other employees received such treatment. "Dude, what's going on with you and the Ice Queen?" Marcus from accounting cornered him by the coffee machine. "She's never taken anyone to lunch except you." "She's just being supportive," Steven replied, but doubt crept into his voice. "Supportive?" Lisa from HR laughed bitterly. "She made her last assistant cry twice a week. Now suddenly she's Mother Teresa because you showed up?" The whispers followed Steven everywhere. In the break room, conversations stopped when he entered. Coworkers exchanged meaningful glances when Nicole called him into her office. The attention felt suffocating. But Steven needed this job too desperately to question it. Nicole started asking personal questions during their late-night work sessions. About his marriage. His divorce. His dating life. "Emma must miss having a mother figure," she said one evening as they reviewed contracts. "Children need stability. Someone who can provide for them properly." Steven looked up from his laptop. "We're doing fine. Are you?" Nicole moved her chair closer. "I see how tired you get. How stressed. You work so hard, Steven. You deserve someone who appreciates that dedication." Her perfume was expensive and overwhelming in the small space between them. "Ms. Chen, I think we should focus on the Morrison presentation." Nicole's smile faltered for just a moment. "Of course. You're right. Always so professional." But her eyes lingered on his face longer than necessary. And when she handed him documents, her fingers always found a way to brush against his. Steven drove home that night with a knot in his stomach. Emma was already asleep when he arrived, and he stood in her doorway wondering if he was imagining things or if his boss was crossing lines he couldn't afford to acknowledge. If you've ever felt uncomfortable at work but couldn't speak up because you needed the paycheck, drop a comment below. Steven's situation is about to get much worse. By the fourth week, Steven could no longer pretend Nicole's behavior was purely professional. It started with small touches. Her hand lingering on his shoulder when she reviewed his work. Her fingers grazing his when she handed him coffee. Standing so close behind his chair that he could feel her breath on his neck as she pointed at his computer screen. "You have such strong hands," she commented one afternoon, watching him type. "Emma's lucky to have such a capable father." Steven pulled his hands away from the keyboard. "Ms. Chen, maybe we should." "Call me Nicole when we're alone," she interrupted. "We spend more time together than most married couples." The comment hit him like ice water. Steven realized she'd been orchestrating their alone time for weeks. Scheduling meetings during lunch breaks when the office emptied. Assigning him projects that required staying late when the cleaning crew had already left. Finding reasons to visit his desk when everyone else was in meetings. I should probably head home, Stephen said, glancing at the clock. Emma's expecting me for dinner. Nicole's expression darkened slightly. Emma. You talk about her constantly. Something cold slithered down Stephen's spine. She's my daughter. And I admire your dedication. But you're a young man, Stephen. You have needs that go beyond fatherhood. Nicole moved around his desk, trapping him in his chair. When was the last time someone took care of you? Stephen stood abruptly, but Nicole didn't step back. They were inches apart, and her eyes were hungry in a way that made his skin crawl. I take care of myself just fine. Do you? Her voice dropped to a whisper. I see how you look at me during meetings. The way you blush when I compliment your work. You feel it too, don't you? Stephen's heart pounded against his ribs. I think there's been a misunderstanding. Nicole placed her hand flat against his chest. There's no misunderstanding. I've been very patient, Stephen. Very generous. The lunches, the gifts, the raises. I've been showing you how much I value you. The raises were for my work performance. Your work performance? Nicole laughed, but it wasn't pleasant. Darling, you're competent at best. I could hire 10 people with better qualifications tomorrow. The words hit him like a physical blow. All his confidence, all his gratitude, crumbled in an instant. Then why did you hire me? Nicole's smile was predatory. Because you're beautiful when you're desperate. Because you need this job so badly you'll do anything to keep it. Because you're alone, and I like alone men. Stephen stepped backward, but his legs hit the desk. This is inappropriate. What's inappropriate is you leading me on for a month and then playing innocent. Nicole's voice turned sharp. I don't like games, Stephen. I've made my intentions clear. The question is, what are you going to do about it? Stephen felt the walls closing in around him. Emma's face flashed in his mind, her excited smile when he told her about ice cream for dinner, her trust that Daddy would always take care of her. This job was supposed to save them. Instead, it was becoming a trap. Hit subscribe if you want to see how Stephen handles this impossible situation, because Nicole isn't done manipulating him yet. Stephen took a deep breath and stepped around Nicole, putting the desk between them like a shield. I'm grateful for this job, Miss Chen. But I need to keep things professional. I'm not interested in anything beyond a working relationship. The temperature in the room seemed to drop 10 degrees. Nicole's face transformed from seductive to stone cold in seconds. Her eyes narrowed into slits, and when she spoke, her voice was sharp enough to cut glass. Professional? She laughed, but there was no humor in it. How professional was it to accept my lunches? My gifts? To smile and flirt and make me think you were interested? I never flirted. Don't lie to me, Stephen. Nicole walked around the desk again, but this time her movement was predatory, threatening. I don't appreciate being rejected by someone who should be grateful I even noticed him. Stephen felt his chest tighten. I am grateful for the job opportunity. Are you? Nicole's smile was razor-thin. Because your 3-month review is coming up next week. And I'm starting to have serious concerns about your performance. The threat hung in the air like smoke. My performance has been excellent. You said so yourself. Did I? Nicole tilted her head mockingly. I remember saying you were competent at best. Maybe I was being too generous. Stephen's mouth went dry. His 3-month review would determine whether he kept his health benefits. Whether he could afford Emma's doctor appointments next month. You can't punish me for not being interested romantically. Punish you? Nicole's eyebrows shot up in fake surprise. Stephen, this is about your work quality. Your reliability. Your ability to handle pressure. She moved to her computer and started typing, her fingers flying across the keyboard with vicious precision. For instance, you've been distracted lately. Unfocused. And single fathers. She paused, looking up at him with cold calculation. Well, they have divided loyalties, don't they? Always worried about daycare pickups and sick children. It makes them unreliable employees. Stephen's blood turned to ice. Emma has never interfered with my work. Hasn't she? You left early last Tuesday for a parent-teacher conference. You took a long lunch Thursday to handle some emergency at her school. Face it, Stephen. You're not executive material. Each word was a calculated blow designed to destroy his confidence. This company needs dedicated professionals. People who can put their career first. Not distracted single parents who might bail at any moment when their kid needs them. Stephen felt everything he'd worked for crumbling around him. You can't discriminate against me for being a father. Discriminate? Nicole's laugh was cruel. I'm simply evaluating your commitment level. And frankly, I'm finding it lacking. She printed something from her computer and handed it to him. It was a performance improvement plan. His hands shook as he read the impossible standards she'd outlined. You have 2 weeks to show significant improvement. If you can't meet these expectations. She shrugged. Well, we'll have to discuss your future here. Stephen stared at the document, knowing it was designed to make him fail. Drop a comment if you've ever been bullied by someone in power. Stephen's nightmare is just beginning. 2 weeks felt like 2 years as Stephen watched his professional life disintegrate piece by piece. Nicole found fault with everything. His emails were poorly formatted. His presentations lacked executive polish. His client communications were unprofessional. She documented every minor mistake, every slightly late arrival, every moment he seemed distracted. The performance improvement plan was a roadmap to failure, and they both knew it. Stephen, I need to see you in my office, Nicole announced on a Friday afternoon, her voice carrying across the entire floor. His co-workers looked up from their desks with sympathetic eyes. Everyone knew what those meetings meant. Stephen gathered his dignity and walked into her office like a man approaching his execution. Nicole closed the door behind him and turned the lock. Sit down, she commanded, but she remained standing, circling his chair like a shark that had smelled blood. Your 2 weeks are up. Your performance has been. She paused dramatically. Disappointing. Stephen's hands clenched in his lap. I've met every deadline. Completed every project. Barely. Nicole pulled out a thick folder. I have documentation of 17 separate instances of substandard work. Any one of these would justify termination. The folder landed on the desk with a heavy thud. However, Nicole's voice turned silky again, I'm not unreasonable. I believe in second chances. Stephen looked up, desperate hope fluttering in his chest. There's one way you can salvage your career here, Stephen. One way to prove your dedication to this company. Nicole moved behind his chair, her hands resting on his shoulders. And to me. Stephen's stomach churned. What are you talking about? I'm talking about showing real commitment. Real appreciation for everything I've done for you. Her fingers tightened on his shoulders. I'm offering you a partnership, Stephen. Professional and personal. Ms. Chen, I've already told you. You've told me a lot of things, Nicole interrupted, moving around to face him. But your custody hearing is next week, isn't it? Stephen's blood froze. How do you know about that? I know everything about my employees. I know your ex-wife is challenging for full custody. I know she's claiming you're financially unstable. Emotionally unavailable. Unable to provide proper care. Nicole's smile was cruel and calculating. I also know that losing this job would pretty much guarantee she wins. Stephen felt the room spinning around him. Emma's face flashed in his mind, her excited chatter about starting first grade, her trust that Daddy would always protect her. What are you saying? Nicole leaned against her desk, studying him like a cat with a wounded bird. I'm saying you have a choice, Stephen. Accept my offer, all of it, and keep your job. Keep your daughter. Keep the life you've built. She moved closer, her voice dropping to a whisper. Or maintain your precious moral high ground and watch everything crumble. Emma in foster care while you fight a custody battle you can't afford. Living in your car because you can't make rent. Stephen's hands shook as the full weight of her ultimatum crashed over him. Think about it over the weekend, Nicole said, straightening her dress. But Monday morning, I need an answer. And Stephen? She touched his face with mock tenderness. Choose wisely. If you're on the edge of your seat wondering what Stephen will do, smash that subscribe button because his decision will shock you. Stephen spent the weekend staring at his daughter's sleeping face, knowing he couldn't live with himself if he gave in to Nicole's demands. But he also couldn't bear the thought of losing Emma. Sunday night, as he tucked his daughter into bed, she looked up at him with those trusting brown eyes. Daddy, you seem sad. Is everything okay? Stephen kissed her forehead. Everything's going to be okay, princess. Daddy's going to make sure of it. Monday morning, Stephen walked into the office with his phone recording in his pocket and a plan that terrified him. He knocked on Nicole's door at exactly 9 a.m. Stephen, Nicole purred, gesturing to the chair across from her desk. Have you thought about my offer? I have. Stephen sat down, his heart hammering. But first, I want to understand something. Am I really the first person you've done this to? Nicole's smile faltered slightly. What do you mean? The personal lunches. The gifts. The threats when someone doesn't respond the way you want. Stephen kept his voice steady. I've been wondering about your last assistant. Why he really left. That's none of your business. Marcus told me something interesting. Your previous assistant, David, left suddenly after filing a complaint with HR. But somehow that complaint disappeared. Nicole's face went pale, then flushed with rage. You don't know what you're talking about. Don't I? Stephen pulled out his phone, showing the recording app. Because I've been documenting everything for the past week. Every threat. Every inappropriate comment. Every attempt at blackmail. Nicole lunged for his phone, but Stephen was faster. I also found something interesting when I was cleaning the printer yesterday. Seems like you accidentally left some emails in the queue. Emails to David. Very similar to the ones you've been sending me. Nicole's composure cracked completely. You little bastard. You're nothing without this job. I'll destroy you. Actually, you won't. Stephen stood up. Because I've already sent copies of everything to HR, the labor board, and a very nice lawyer who specializes in workplace harassment. Nicole's face went white as paper. It turns out David wasn't your only victim. There were 3 others before him. All single fathers who needed their jobs too badly to fight back. But they're ready to fight now. Stephen moved toward the door, then turned back. Oh, and Nicole? Your boss wants to see you in his office. Immediately. 2 hours later, Stephen watched security escort Nicole out of the building with a cardboard box of her belongings. The interim CEO, Mr. Harrison, personally apologized and offered Stephen Nicole's position. The company failed you, Stephen. We want to make this right. That evening, Stephen picked up Emma from daycare with tears in his eyes. Daddy, why are you crying? Emma asked, concerned. Happy tears, princess. These are happy tears. At the custody hearing the following week, Stephen's new position and the settlement from the company's harassment case painted him as exactly the stable, responsible father Emma needed. The judge awarded him full custody. Stephen learned that sometimes the scariest thing you can do is also the right thing. And sometimes, standing up for yourself means standing up for everyone who comes after you. Drop a comment if this story inspired you to speak up about workplace harassment, and hit subscribe for more stories about finding courage when it matters most.